KiwiSylveon, and we're back again with Seduce Me, Then Tell Me. This time, this route is actually the one that I kind of wanted to do at first, but I was like, nah, I'll go with the bad boy and then the bookworm. So there are 3 brothers left, and the one I'm going for, I have him paired up with Heidi. Because Heidi, compared to Violet and Allie, she can match who she's going to be with. So, the brother she's going for is the playboy, Erik. Yeah, so she's going to be suave with her words, and she'll be matching his little flirtatiousness. She's the flirty of the ones.
Erik, very Erik.
She goes with. She usually sides with Zuzu too. So. I wish I was as fast as her for getting out of here.
Oh, not you too.
It's a joke, Naomi.
Well, it's not really funny.
Lighten up. Cajun fries and spicy burger. Now I can see Heidi just going all out, like Violet did. Do you even care that grandfather passed away?
Of course I do.
Well, everything's fine and dandy to you. Things couldn't be better.
Excuse me? I don't like your tone, young lady.
It's like nothing even happened at all. Like you just ignored the fact that he's no longer here. Yeah, she's sort of the, like, so type girl.
Do not raise your voice at me.
What did he ever do to you to deserve this?
Ha!
Is that it? Are you happy seeing grandfather dead? While everyone was grieving, were you holding yourself back from laughing in everyone's faces? Did you feel just a bit happier seeing him lie in the graveyard? Heidi would try like Allie did. Say, Dad, about you and Grandpa?
We are not talking about this.
I feel like we should. Because Grandpa did leave us yesterday, so...
I wouldn't care if he had left even long before that. I do... Here we are. Oh.
Boopity boopity boop.
Good. Sam, stop it.
Fine.
Be cool. You sure are quite the charmer.
Yes, I am known for that.
As much as I do appreciate the constant compliments, you don't have to keep it talking to me like that.
Like what?
He batted his eyelashes as if he had no idea what I was talking about, and I couldn't help but laugh. Well, like you're trying to get in my pants half the time.
I can assure you, I'm just a lover of beautiful women.
Something tells me there's more to it than that. For a moment, he looked away, losing a bit of his smile. Before I could question it, though, he turned back to me with a new teasing smile.
Did you want there to be more?
I didn't want to hit him, but I didn't know how to react, so I couldn't look at him. He merely chuckled again in my ear.
Sorry. You just look so cute when you're blushing.
I felt my face heat up simply from his words. I then felt Erik take my hand and kiss it gently.
I hope you'll enjoy dinner, however, my dear. I made almost all of the dishes myself.
I think I like Heidi a little bit more than the other two, because she's more playful with Erik. She doesn't smack him. I have to... go over. Please go over to the next screen. Thank you. So I can do this, and... So I didn't. Okay. Erik with the dining room. I stayed in the dining room, knowing that the table had become a buffet table. As I looked around the room carefully, I noted the floor needed waxing, and the table surfaces needed major dusting. Erik came up next to me, lowered a small mop and bucket he had brought onto the floor, and rolled his sleeves up higher on his arm before looking at me with a raised eyebrow.
Are you sure you want to work with me with cleaning this place up? It'll be a lot of cleaning and tidying. Plus, we have to move the chairs to the corner.
I shook my head, rolling up my sleeves and walked into the table, grabbing a hold of a chair. I think I can handle lifting a couple chairs and moving them. Erik smiled at me with a soft chuckle before following my lead. Eventually, we had moved all the chairs into to the corner of the room and had begun cleaning the room and table. Silence consumed the air as we both focused on cleaning. I just decided to start mopping up the floor, but as I stepped toward the bucket, my foot rolled over and small fluffy object, causing me to slip. Before I hit the floor, however, I wound up in the arms of Erik, staring up at him in a dance-like dip while gripping onto his shirt. His face held pure concern as he held on and looked down at me.
Are you all right, Princess?
Just nod. All I could do was nod as I stared at Erik. He was genuinely concerned. There was no flirtation or smirk on his face. It was good to see a new side to him. Erik let out a small sigh in relief.
That's a relief. You didn't twist your ankle, did you?
No, I'm fine. Gently, I felt Erik's arm dip under my knees so he could lift me up bridal style. I gripped tighter onto his shirt before he sat me on the table and knelt down to look at my feet. I'm really fine. That's the only way I can get into that voice, is adding the little sassiness to it. Erik didn't speak as he gently looked over my ankles, lightly massaging them to test for pain. I didn't feel any pain. I felt pleasure. I bit my lip as Erik gently massaged his fingers over my skin. I had had foot massages before, but Erik had amazing skill. Each touch and press sent a wave of pleasure running up my spine. I had to fight holding back a moan. Erik's face, though, didn't shift to any of mischief or seduction. It remained as concerned as ever. He was full of surprises. Hello? Eventually, he finished looking over my feet and smiled in relief. He slowly stood up and smiled his usual smile at me with a small giggle.
You were right, Princess. You were fine.
Erik gently lifted me off the table and lowered me to the floor before placing a swift kiss onto my forehead and continuing his work. I stood there for a moment before slowly walking to the bucket and cleaning as well. My heart continued to pound as we both finished cleaning that room. Get out of my house!
Since when does a little stain like you give orders to a guy who can rip your pretty little head from your body?
You really don't think, do you? If you kill me, you'll be hunted down by more than just police.
You little...
I decided making coffee was my best bet in surviving the rest of the day. Why not? Haven't had coffee in forever. I got out of bed and made my way to the kitchen, unconcerned that I was in pajama pants and a tank top. I rummaged through the cabinets for a coffee machine and makings for coffee. Surely my grandfather had some. A French press? Well, it's better than nothing. As I began make my coffee, I checked my email and text on my phone. No new important emails, no text messages. I sighed. I quickly made my coffee just how I liked it and sat on the counter. But then I began to wonder, would this happen every day? I let the question linger in my mind. For a whole morning, I did not think once about the boys or Malix. Everything was peaceful. Everything was average. Nothing magical or dangerous or unusual. I simply drank my coffee as I let the thought marinate in the back of my mind. Return to bed. I returned to the backyard, hoping to find an incubus still there. Luckily, my gut feeling was right. Erik was beside the gazebo, looking at a small flower that was growing on the railing of it. As I approached, Erik turned his head and smiled his usual smile.
Hello, princess.
Hey, Erik, I got some lunch for you.
Really? You did not have to do that, princess.
No, it's fine. Here. Erik smiled and took his food, eating a little bit before looking to the flower again. Out of curiosity, I looked as well. It was a simple white daisy in full bloom. Erik shook his head and chuckled softly as I joined him in flower gazing.
Sorry, I was simply reminded of home.
Huh? Oh no, you're fine. What about home were you reminded of? Erik looked to the sky with a soft sigh and smiled before looking to the flower again.
The castle, mainly. Despite us not being there anymore, it was still our home.
Self-voicing
We grew
disabled.
up there our entire lives as brothers. There wasn't a day that went by when we weren't all doing something exciting. It was an empty excitement, of course, but it was still something that bonded us all together.
Erik slightly trailed off, looking lost in the nostalgia of his thoughts. I didn't know if I wanted to bother him while he remembered something so obviously important to him. Please tell me more. Erik turned again to me with a slightly surprised look.
You wish to know more?
Why not? I'm really curious about the place he lived in. Erik nodded before looking to the flower again. After a second, he gained a look of realization before looking to me again.
Would you like me to show you something instead?
I tilted my head in confusion, but nodded nonetheless. What I was expecting could not have prepared me for what I saw. Erik gently brushed his fingers against the petal of the daisy, making it gently quake at his touch. As the daisy abnormally shivered, its petals shifted from white to purple. The yellow center gently faded to a pink hue as the stem began to burn black. I could only stare as Erik plucked the flower from its place and presented it to me.
Watch closely.
I kept my eyes to the flower as Erik began to mutter something. It sounded close to Latin, but I wasn't sure. Regardless, the flower began to glow in Erik's hand. Small crystal-like spores floated up from the pink center and began to form a circle in the air. As the circle closed, the center filled with smoke, forming a screen of some sort. It was misty, so I couldn't see anything. What is this?
Just watch.
I raised an eyebrow, but I followed instructions. Eventually, the mist faded away, revealing a large throne room. It was all of stone and tile, with the throne itself covered in red fabric and gold metal. Despite it being a mirror image in a magic mirror, I felt small looking at the side of the throne room. Wow, that looks amazing!
That's our castle. It's a wonderful place. Servants and parties galore.
Does your father sit in the throne when he's at the parties?
Very much so. He despises dancing and socializing, so he makes the throne his home.
Do you think he's still there now? Or, do you think he's still there now? I must have struck a small chord with Erik because he hesitated before responding. Erik smiled only slightly.
We don't know. When we left, we didn't look back. However, we are sure he's still there, since no one followed us out of the abyssal plains.
I bit my lip. Maybe I shouldn't have asked. I felt really bad. However, I didn't feel it for long. The magic suddenly stopped and faded away while Erik dropped the daisy. As the daisy turned back to its white and yellow color, Erik dropped to a knee, groaning in pain. Erik, are you alright?
Yes, princess. I'm fine. I just used too much energy, that's all.
I dropped to a knee and tried to examine Erik closer. His face was pale while his purplish eyes shifted back and forth between purple and gold. His breath was heavy, which concerned me. He used too much energy? That meant he needed more.
Please don't worry, Princess. I'm fine. Don't worry your beautiful head about it.
Go for it. I felt responsible. I had to help. I quickly grabbed Eric's face and tilted his head to angle with mine. Shifting myself closer, I brought my lips to his and kissed him deeply. I didn't know if this would help, but it was how he got energy before. I shut my eyes, waiting for the draining feeling to reappear in my body. However, Erik grabbed my shoulders and forced me back. I opened my eyes and stared into his frightened golden eyes in surprise. At the same time, I noticed a pink hue run across Eric's face.
Princess? What are you doing?
He's so funny. I didn't know why, but I felt both irritated and accomplished at the question and at the look he was giving me. Where was his flirting? Where was his cocky smirk? From what I remember, he took advantage of me when we met, and now he was somehow acting inferior to me. I grabbed his hands and removed them from my shoulders, tangling my fingers with his. I'm trying to help and give you some of my energy. You used your energy to show me that sight, so I wanted to pay you back for that. Unless you don't want me to help.
Well, I've already taken your energy once before.
That was before. I want to give you energy now. Just let me. All of a sudden, I felt that familiar feeling of warmth run through my body. Once again, and then I felt my body slightly heat up as Erik quickly released my hands and wrapped them around my waist, dropping to both knees in front of me. He stared at me with desire in his gaze and pulled my body to his. Erik leaned his head forward to mine. I cannot talk. My tongue's getting twisted. Letting the tips of our noses gently caress each other as he spoke.
You spoil me.
Before I knew it, I was on top of Erik as he lay down the grass below. I stared wide-eyed as he pulled me into a hot and passionate kiss with the gentle hand on the back of my head. Eric's other hand rested on the small of my back, while I rested my hands on his chest. I moved myself to straddle his hip. Go back. To straddle his hips to be comfortable in the kiss. The energy from my body was slowly draining, making me feel light and warm. It was almost how It's the same thing for the last ones. While Erik held me, he gently rolled us both over so he was on top of me, kissing me hotly and holding me tightly. I was tempted to wrap my legs around him, but I remained focused on the kiss. It was better that I was on the bottom anyway, with my energy slowly fading from my body. However, the draining feeling suddenly stopped as Erik pulled away and looked down at me. I stared at him as we both panted for air. I had never kissed like that, so I was lost in the moment and forgotten how to breathe. Erik, however, didn't move from me, but moved a strand of my hair from my face, eyes still full of desire.
I'm completely full, and yet I still desire you.
I could feel the hold of his mind-altering spell fade away, but I still felt hot and all. Keep going. I reached up, pulled him down, and kissed him, not giving him the silent approval to keep going. I could feel him pull on the tail of my bow, releasing it and following his hands off from around my neck. He moved the ribbon to the ground beside me before gently unbuttoning the top buttons of my blouse, stopping at the buttons above my stomach. The desire in my body drove me insane, forcing a moan to escape my lips as he ran kisses down my lips to my exposed neck. As he began to ravage my neck and shoulder in hot kisses, I leaned my head back against the grass and let a pleasureful sigh escape my lips. Erik was ruthless in his passionate kisses on my skin. Erik didn't stop kissing, and all that fun stuff. Something about Erik intrigued me immensely, and This time I'll mute my mic. Correction, I forgot about this one. Before I turned to get out of bed, though, I found my ribbon on the pillow beside the one I slept in. It was tied in a nice bow around the daisy Erik had picked with a small note attached to it. Gently slipped the note from the tie and opened it to read it.
You've spoiled me, my princess. I am eternally grateful that you let me indulge like that. Have a good rest.
I stared at the note, letting a small smile grace my lips. Spoiled him? I enjoyed it despite the first time circumstances and... Hi, Erik.
My name.
Your name?
My true name isn't Erik, miss. I want you to know my real name if something were to happen. My name is Uzaris.
Got it. Uzaris. Uzaris? Uzaris.
If you're in any danger, call my name. I promise that I'll come and help you.
I would get her. I mean, not I would, but Heidi would get her. She may be like the flirt and like perfect for Erik, but she does have a little tick in her brain. I'd had enough and all that fun stuff. We've been through this with the main playthrough, I believe. Now, she would use his name immediately. Uzaris! Uzaris! Sort of sing-songy right there. It's like, Uzaris!
What the?
Erik.
Did you miss me?
Such a flirt. Where's that teddy dum-dum? However, the seductive smile that graced his lips quickly disappeared as he turned to Malix. As Malix lowered his arms, Erik glared.
You really are evil at its core. Kidnapping an innocent woman like you did. It's disgusting how we demons are confused for your kind.
Look at this little man-whore Erik right here, boys. Might as well sleep with a disease.
Oh. I could see Heidi just clutching her fist and just wanting to actually be able to smack him or something. The devils around them laughed, including Ares. I felt a twinge of anger, but Erik must have taken it from me and added it to his own. Erik flicked his wrist and arm across his body, producing a small whipping noise through the air. However, Malix hissed and reached for his cheek as if the noise had slapped him. As if the air had slapped him hard. What the? When Malix removed his hands from his cheek, I stared wide-eyed at the large slash that was revealed on it. A mixture of red and black blood gently dripped from the wound, causing Malix to growl angrily at Erik.
So, pretty boy thinks he has balls, huh? Well, time to make this pretty boy a dead bitch.
All of a sudden, Malix lifted his gun towards Erik and pulled the trigger. I gasped and tensed up, not believing what I was seeing. As I braced myself for Malix's bullet to embed itself into Erik, however, a large erythral tendril shot up in front of Eric's body, sprouting from the ground by his feet. Quickly after the bullet evaporated from the tendril, several others appeared, forming a dark purple crown around Eric's body.
What is that?
I just said that, Malix.
Did you expect me to come unprepared the second time around? Thanks to my lovely princess, I can now use the full extent of my powers. Unfortunately for you, that means I'm afraid you will lose this fight.
You cocky little shit!
Don't call Erik cocky. Malix charged up his energy and began to fire bullet after bullet at Erik in anger. However, the tendrils danced around Eric's body with ease, blocking each one as if they were mere pebbles to a wall. The remaining double stared and...
Die already!
Erik chuckled before snapping his fingers, causing a row of tendrils to appear behind him, pointing their sharp ends at Malix, who continued to fire bullets at the incubus. The tendrils uprooted themselves and floated into the air, straightening out into large spikes before quickly splintering into multiple thinner spikes. I could only stare, completely lost and intrigued at the sight of as Erik whipped his hand across his body again. At Erik's command, the spikes flew at Malix, slashing and stabbing into his body. They were thin, barely making pencil-sized wounds, and only a few went into his body. They scraped and scratched at his skin as they flew by. This didn't kill Malix, however. Malix growled loudly before charging at Erik, causing the incubus to step back in slight shock. Malix pointed his gun at Erik, closing the distance between them, and fired as the barrel almost reached Erik's face. Instead of the bullet ripping into Erik, a large explosion forced both away from each other. Malix bounced off the far wall and landed on his knees, groaning in pain. Erik, however, slid across the ground, landing on his stomach. Erik! Malix slowly planted a foot on the ground to stand, but froze before doing so, staring at Erik's body. Erik, on the other hand, slowly rose to turned to face Malix head on. Erik reached the hand up and wiped a small stain of blood that had painted the side of his lip before growling almost animalistically. At that moment, something in the air had changed. The air instantly went from that and a deadly mix of purple and red.
How persistent. I guess I'll have to go all out on you to finally rid the world of you.
Was this the extent of demon power? My eyes never strayed from Erik's face, however, even as it changed. His eyes began to glow bright golden color as Erik began to walk towards Malix.
Let's end this.
Malix aimed his gun and fired at Erik, but the bullet never made it to its target. As the shot erupted from the barrel, the erythro tendrils erupted from Erik's back, creating a wing-like barrier from the bullet. Ooh, cool. Malix stared wide-eyed at Erik as Erik's tendrils absorbed the bullet and grew almost larger in size and in number with each step Erik took. Erik's skin began to slowly began to morph and shift, changing from human to something else entirely. Something about Erik grew dark and menacing, and this transformation was making him even darker. And then all this fun stuff with
It's me. Don't
Damien
look.
and stuff.
Erik! I just had to be sure he was dead. No use in letting him have a chance to revive.
You're getting sloppy, Erik. You've lost your glamour spell.
Had remembered the deal, and I looked at Erik. As if he knew what I wanted, Erik moved a step to me, gently moving a strand of my hair from my face to behind my ear. He stared into my eyes and spoke, gently stroking my cheek.
Princess, you've been such a wonderful help to us already. But I'm afraid that I must ask more of you. I've grown fond of being here and of serving you. Would you allow us to stay? Yet again, you spoil me. I'm very unworthy of you, Princess.
Hush, Erik. I wanted you to stay. Let's see.
Listen, about what happened at the warehouse.
No, it's fine. You did what you had to do. I understand. She's suddenly going southern. No! That's one of the other ones. Nyeh. It's just like, my brain can't think. Erik nodded before kissing my forehead sweetly.
Come, let's get you to bed.
Giggity giggity. Hopefully. Erik walked over and gently caressed my cheek, looking at me with concern.
She won't harm you, princess. I promise.
I nodded, feeling that he was telling the truth. Erik gently took my hand in his and kissed my knuckles, however, making me blush and forget what I was thinking about. But as Erik cleared his throat, the laughter stopped. I looked up to see he was glaring at his brother. Ooh, Erik glares at his brothers. Oh no. Erik.
Erik? Who is... Ah, one of the boys.
The second. She's sort of like a Diana, I just realized that. I made her turn into like a happier version of Diana.
Really? The sly second? With you? Alright.
Yay, I like being able to pause, but then I forget to mute me.
You're awake, princess. That's a relief. How do you feel?
Erik nodded before reaching over and placed his hand over mine, running his thumb over my knuckles and examining my face with soft sadness.
I must apologize, princess. To see you be hunted by both demons and devils, I feel entirely responsible.
Erik, it's not your fault.
No, forgive me, but I can't stand the thought of them hurting you. If we had never come, you'd never be in danger.
I quickly reached over and stuff. Erik, it's okay. I wanted to help you out. I offered to let you all stay. Nothing is your fault. So, Erik, you're a noble? Erik chuckled before he stared at the hand he was caressing with a soft smile.
Yes, I'm a noble. My brothers and I are nobles. Well, I guess I should say were now, shouldn't I?
Were?
James was the demon prince when we lived in the Abyssal Plains. The others and I were simply nobles living in the castle, simply because of our bloodline. Should James fail or die, we were the replacements. Well, we didn't want to live like that, as simply replacements over our brother. So we all wanted to leave and be an actual family.
What was it like when you were there?
Well, to put it simply, it was boring. James was constantly being trained while the rest of us had to constantly entertain ourselves without disturbing him. I, however, was also being trained under the guidance of my mother.
Your mother?
Yes, she was a lovely woman. I never knew what she looked like.
That made no sense. How could he not know what his own mother looked like? Erik, as if he read my mind, smiled and chuckled at the confusion in my face.
Our father had multiple wives. James, myself, Sam, and Matthew came from these very women. But tensions grew high when Damien was born outside our father's marriages. In order to quell the tension, our father had a powerful demon mage turn our mothers into simple, floating spirits. They lived, but they could not have physical form. It is, but which is better? A house where the sons of the Demon Lord could have their birth mothers, or watching these very women claw at each other's throats out of jealousy, leaving the sons with no true parental guidance? Our father didn't have time for anyone but James, so the rest of us needed someone to make sure we didn't grow up to be incompetent.
I don't know why I muted myself when I said that's horrible. But I had to take a drink of my iced tea. Erik had a point. It was horrid, but it was a logical point. I bit my lip and nodded in understanding. Erik gently brought my hand up to kiss my knuckles.
Would you like to see what I mean instead?
I stared, trying to understand what he meant. However, the memory of when he showed me the demon palace replayed in my mind. I nodded and let my curiosity guide me. Erik smiled before simply holding out one hand to me and laying a small breath rush across his palm. Instantly, the flower Erik had given to me appeared in the sand, making him smirk and making me blush.
You kept it. Good.
No, I just replaced it. Erik wrapped his fingers gingerly around the stem, giving it the magic it had been given before, and casting an aura-like mirror before me. I peered in to see the castle main hall once again. The memory of being in the hall, a bit bad magic sent a small shiver down my spine. I watched, however, as a very familiar demon walked arm in arm with a woman with cat ears and a tail down the walkway.
Tiffy, my sweet kitten, you truly astound me. Whatever shall I do with you?
Stop it! You're making me blush.
But what if I want to make you blush? You're so much cuter when you blush, kitten.
Stop!
I felt my eye twitch in irritation. Why was Erik showing me this? Was he trying to spite me? I didn't want to see him flirt with demon girls. I already had some trouble with him flirting with me.
You sly incubus, you. I'll get in trouble for sure if I'm caught with you.
Then shouldn't we make the risk worthwhile?
Erik held the cat girl close to his body, looking about ready to kiss her. The girl, however, mewed and pulled away, giggling in almost cute embarrassment.
Such a bad incubus. So bad. I should go.
Ah, very well, you minx. Until we meet again.
The cat girl giggled before rushing out of the main hall, but not before Erik lowered his hand underneath her tail as she turned and let it slide across his fingers as she ran off, making the cat girl jump in surprise. The girl playfully glared at Erik, who only pouted innocent lips in return before she exited. However, as the girl left the room, Erik's face went from flirtatious to almost ice cold. Erik let out a sigh, gently rubbing his hands to rid them of the fur that had caught on them, and rolled his shoulders.
Well, Mother, was that enough to please you?
I stared in shock at the personality change. What the heck happened to Erik? He was flirty, charming, and almost disgustingly complimentary, but the Erik I was seeing in the mirror wasn't him at all. A small red orb, surrounded with a veil of purple mist, entered the space, making my mind go blank. It approached Erik, glowing as it spoke.
Very well done, dear. Much better than I expected of you.
Thank you. You taught me well.
That I did. You must never forget, however, to always listen to your women. Serving them is your #1 priority. Should they be uncomfortable, you must step back and be as submissive as possible.
Yes, Mother.
Good. Now, continue to woo that cat girl. Once she gives you her energy, then you can toss her back out. You don't need any pets hanging around when you find another girl.
As you wish, Mother.
I stared in utter shock. The orb vanished, but Erik remained in the hall, letting out a sigh. He had a look of displeasure on his face. He looked tired as well, but something seemed off. He had looked like he had a lot on his mind, but his closed mouth wouldn't let him speak them. He was submissive to his guidance. I turned away from the mirror to look at the Erik beside me, who had a look of both sadness and guilt. It was like a puppy admitting to chewing my favorite shoe, or a child stealing a cookie from the cookie jar. Erik stopped the magic, willing the mirror out of existence and letting it fade away in the air before he looked to me.
She taught me well, at least what she could teach me anyway. That visage became habit, and now it's a natural persona to me. She taught me to always serve and make the women I met happy. She always said that was the true incubus way.
The true incubus way?
It makes sense, no? If I can please and serve any women I meet, then I can surely convince them to fully give their energy to me.
I began to see the mask Erik was wearing. He wasn't putting on airs because he was overly complimentary. He was complimentary in order to gain trust and respect. That is smart.
It is. However, I know what you're thinking, Princess. I don't blame you for thinking what you are thinking of right now.
Then what am I thinking of right now?
Who am I exactly? If I am truly not as flirtatious as I act, then what do I act like, and will you be the next victim? I can assure you, Princess, that I am no danger to you.
How can I be so sure?
Because, Princess, I don't deserve your trust or energy.
I stared, my mind going blank. What did he mean? Erik lifted my hand again and gently caressed it, staring down at it.
You've done so much for me and my brothers, sheltering us, letting us continue to live here. It may not seem like much, but to a family of brothers without anywhere to go, it means everything. I can't soil your gifts to us by taking anything from you. You've become so important and precious to us. To me. To take anything from you like that would be beyond unforgivable.
I watched in speechless silence as Erik lifted my hand higher and simply laid his lips against it. I could feel his frown and felt his shame burning itself into my skin. It was a pitiful sight and almost made my eyes water.
I could never do that to you.
Erik lowered my hand and lowered his head, ashamed. I couldn't help but feel my heart squeeze within my chest at the sight. He didn't want to hurt me. He truly cared. Erik let out a small sigh before looking to me, his face now clear of the flirtatious mask he bore for so long. He had a genuine, caring, and loving smile bared for me. This was the man inside the incubus who cared for me and wanted to be revealed.
Now, Princess, you must get some more rest. You aren't fully recovered, and dinner is a good scent to wake up to.
Erik smiled and gently pressed me back onto the bed. Time to show him how a real flirt does it. I couldn't let him leave. I quickly pulled Erik down to me, lifting my head and gently kissed him, softly laying a head and I stared, deepest surprise. Let's see. He let out a satisfied hum before nuzzling my forehead.
Sleep.
Yes, sir. I wasn't gonna lose to that demon bitch.
Diana, what a pleasant surprise.
What was even worse was the fact that Erik could play into Diana's flirtatious game. I instinctively followed Erik's voice and blushed wildly. I was approaching the bathroom. The door was open just a crack, it wide enough to peek in without being noticed. I peek inside to see Erik by the bathtub with Diana sitting on the sink looking to him.
Such a gentleman. You know how to treat a woman.
That I do. However, I'm afraid that my manners will not replace my sickening hatred towards you.
Okay, that is just too precious. It's just like, oh, I know how to treat a lady, alright? But it doesn't mean that I have to like you, okay? There's so much acid in it. I love it.
I'm hurt, wounded truly. Is this how you really address a woman?
A woman you may be, but you are an enemy as well.
Pity. And here I thought I was going to offer you the chance to become something.
I highly doubt you have anything more than what I can have here in the human world.
How about becoming the next demon?
Becoming the next demon lord? You're overstepping yourself, don't you think? How can you know about who the throne goes to?
Well...
Is that so?
It is. You'll gain the throne.
Doesn't sound appeasing at all. Sorry, but that actually doesn't sound appeasing at all.
What?
Whoa. He just went, nope. Sorry, bitch.
You dare deny?
Do not try to raise a tone to me. I am not as submissive as my training defines.
I could see the urethral tendrils slowly form around Erik, taunting and threatening to strike at Diana. Do it, tendrils, do it! Please!
You do not scare me.
Such a cute bluff. You don't have enough power to do that, do you? Or else you would have already done it.
Erik smirked before making the tendrils fade away. Diana gripped the sink beneath her as Erik turned to adjust the shower head nonchalantly.
Besides, even if you did enthrall me, you wouldn't fully own me. I belong to her.
The human girl? You must be joking.
It does concern me, bitch.
Does it? I don't think a human would understand the importance of this affair.
I could see her holding the same pose as like Diana, but actually pissed off more. She would be like a Diana, but nicer and prettier. Or she would just be both hands on her hips and like the mother about to scold her parents' kid, like that look, or like that pose. You're asking him to leave to be someone he doesn't want to be. That's not gonna happen.
Oh? And what makes you so sure about that?
I love him, bitch.
You love him?
Yes, I love him.
So what? A human's love isn't enough to understand the situation. A demon can never reciprocate human feeling.
I can kind of see, like, Heidi almost buy that and go, like, deflate slightly. It's like, she would deflate a little bit.
I love her.
That would get her back up.
A demon love a human?
Impossible. How utterly dim to think that. We are the masters of emotion. We aren't barred away from feeling love. In fact, we can experience it 10 times more powerfully than humans.
Whoa. Wowie.
I love her with every single part of my being. However, I don't expect someone like you to understand love.
My heart just stopped.
Very well. Fine. Valet.
My heart just went goodbye with that line of I love her with every fiber of my being. And today, technically, I'll be doing the other two with... and I'll figure out how to do the other 4 perfectly.
Are you okay, princess? My sweet princess, how you've captured my heart.
I looked up at Erik. What do you mean? Erik smiled down at me, moving a strand of my hair from my face to look down at me.
I'm selfish, ignorant, and undeserving of everything you have done and given to me. The way you accept me and see through my mask astounds me beyond words. And now, you've captured my heart and claimed it as yours to probably the greatest adversary in the abyssal plains. You've made a demon fall in love with you. I've fallen in love with you and want to give you everything you deserve.
Boy, do I have a lot of recording. I'm too tired to pause recordings. I'm too tired to mute my mic at points. Ugh. I gently leaned in, letting my lips finally touch his gingerly. Erik let out almost a pleasured purr against my lips before wrapping both of his arms around my waist. He pulled me close to him. I moved my arms up and around his neck, feeling the kiss between us deep into a heated height. Gently though, Erik slowed the kiss down and pulled away, staring down at me. His eyes burned for me, wanting me to melt and buckle his arms. Let's see. Are you?
No, I just... If you don't want to, we don't have to. I do have to shower after all, and you need your rest.
Oh, Erik, you sly little bastard. Ooh, dropping that hint. Ooh. Sorry. I fangirl at anything in this game now. Go for it. Erik simply ran his fingers down his vest and shirt, releasing the buttons and revealing his bare chest to me. I couldn't help but move one of my hands down his chest, running my fingers over the crevices of his muscle. A pleasured purr escaped his throat, making me shiver slightly. Erik let his vest and shirt slide down his arms to the floor before cradling my head in his hands and kissing me deeply. I felt heat rise in my body, making me undo the tie underneath my collar and release the buttons of my own shirt. I would join him for a shower, then we'd head to bed together. Ooh. Heidi is a saucy little girl. I could just see Heidi doing that. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna be bold and daring. I'm gonna join him. Screw everything else. Bye. Give me my man. Quickly, I removed my shirt and vest, making Erik stop kissing me and stare at me in slight surprise. I was simply in a bra, but I could feel a blush invade my cheeks. My shy side began to fester in my mind. Did I really want this? To undress? Da-da-da. As if he knew, Erik gently caressed my cheeks, smiling at me before kissing each cheek and whispering in my ear.
You're beautiful.
Those 2 words broke my limitation. I gave in. I yielded to my desires. Ooh, hi. Before I knew it, he and I were both stripped of clothing and in a very nice, warm shower together. The heat between our bodies simply added to the warmth, making the shower a very steamy one. Erik pulled me close, knowing I was still shy, and began to kiss my lips over and over, each kiss, na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Let's see, I didn't know if it was the fact that we were both naked, or maybe I just craved touch, but I didn't want to let him go. It's just like some of these are new, like in between the parts that we already knew, technically. The water ran over our bodies, cleansing our skins as we held on to each other like it was the end of the world. Even when Erik started to actually wash his body, and mine, our bodies constantly touched. The fragrance of the soap engraved itself into my memory as I let him touch me and clean me. He was gentle and sweet, making sure to be attentive to every part of me. However, as he held me, I could feel the slight shiver of his hands. He was nervous. Was I his first? Didn't know that he wasn't going to show it. Then my mind quickly made a realization. Were we really going to join in the shower? I had imagined my first to be in a bed. Sure thought that. I eventually pulled away from him after last bit. I give up. Last bit of soap was rinsed away from my skin. He looked at me worried, but I smiled. Not here. Erik stared for a brief moment before slightly smirking and nodding, gathering me back into his arms and kissing me. I felt warm magic gather around our bodies as the slight pattern of the running water vanished. I slightly opened my eyes to see that Erik and I were no longer in the shower, but in my bedroom. We were both dry, but the heat and passion remained. Erik guided me to the bed as a purple tendril made sure my door was closed but unlocked. Yeah, because the last thing we need is either James or heck, Matthew walking in going, just staring like, oh my, I'm bye. As he laid me down and knelt over me, Erik smiled and finally embraced me as we both desired. Na 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 na. Now I will pause the recording and mute my mic.
I love you so much.
I love you too. Yeah, now she sort of doesn't get that little I love you too. She's like all sing-songy now because she's happy and bouncy, and I'm bouncing slightly on my bed going, yee, because I am tired and I get loopy when I'm tired. Boop. Bye. The new line in this one is, Erik understood perfectly and vowed to serve me well, wishing his brothers the best. Beside Erik, had someone new to care for now, na 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 na. I let out a happy sigh before looking up and seeing where I had wandered to. I was standing at the entrance to the backyard, and the door was slightly ajar. I peeked out to see Erik standing out by the gazebo, looking up at the moon in the sky. I slowly opened the door and exited the house, walking towards the man who held my heart. Hearing the grass beneath my feet, Erik turned his head and smiled at me.
Good evening, princess.
I smiled and blushed a bit, moving to stand at Erik's side. What are you doing out here? No. What are you doing out here?
I'm merely making friends with the moon, my love.
I blushed deeper. Hearing him call me his love made my heart skip a beat. Erik chuckled, most likely being able to see the blush through the darkness of the night.
I wanted to see the night sky. The yard is one of the more perfect places to stargaze. Don't you agree?
Yeah. I found myself staring up at the sky as well. The stars all glimmered in the dark blue, almost pitch black sky. They seemed to cast an entrancing spell on my eyes, not letting me look away. Not that I cared, anyway. Erik gently wrapped an arm around my waist, pulling me close to him without breaking my stare at the sky.
I don't deserve you, you know.
I raised an eyebrow and looked to Erik, confused. What did he mean? Erik simply stared at the sky, holding me gently to him.
You're much too wonderful to be loving a demon such as myself. As cliché as it may be, the beauty fell in love with a beast. A beast with an insatiable hunger for lust.
But you're not a beast, Erik. Erik looked down at me in slight surprise. I turned my body to him and gently held his cheek in my hand, feeling him nuzzle gently into it and cradle it with his own hand. You're not a beast, nor will you ever be. You're Erik, and you're the man I want to love for the rest of my life. Demon or not, I would love you. Erik stared, looking lost at what to say to my words. It was all true, though. He had faults, sure, but who didn't? I enjoyed his company and enjoyed every part of his personality. The mask he wore would slowly fade over time. Or maybe not. After all, his mask was a part of who I fell in love with. Erik gently moved his head and kissed my palm, closing his eyes and absorbing what I had said. He gently opened his eyes partially, staring past my hand.
Sometimes I forget that you're human. You entrance me better than any demon could. You're truly unbelievable. Are you real, or am I dreaming?
Yes, Erik, I'm real. I'm right here. Erik finally looked at me, a look of desperate need in his eyes. You're not dreaming. I gently guided Erik's face down with my hand and kissed him softly, reminding him of my touch and reaffirming my words. He stared at me as if his greatest wish had come true. I fought back a giggle at the sight. Erik gently pulled me to him, facing me to hug me to his chest. I nuzzled into Erik's chest, hearing his gentle heartbeat and memorizing his tempo.
You'll regret it. I promise you. You'll regret loving someone like me.
You underestimate me. Erik chuckled softly, the sound of his laughter sending happy waves down my spine. Erik smiled down at me and kissed the top of my head. My focus, however, traveled to my hand, which had become gently held by Erik's. His thumb grazed over my ring finger where I could feel soft veins of energy tingle on my skin. I watched as around my ring finger, a small vine wrapped itself around and tied itself into a lovely ring. The ring held a beautiful purple flower with a red gem in the middle, glistening in the moonlight. I gasped before looking up at Erik, who slightly smirked down at me.
See? I'm taking advantage of you already.
Erik gently moved his hand and cradled my cheek, replacing the smirk on his face with a tender smile that made my heart skip a beat.
I don't know what I did to deserve you, but I swear to love you till the end of days and beyond. You make me feel so complete. I can no longer imagine what I would do in life without you. Let me stay with you. I love you so much.
I felt my heart going a million miles an hour. Was this truly happening? Yes, it was. I felt it. I knew it. Out of pure happiness, I wrapped my arms around Erik and kissed him deeply. Erik stared at me before holding me to him and kissing deeply back. Back deeply, pouring all of his love to me into that kiss. I did the same for him, not wanting to wake up that this was indeed a dream. I felt light as a feather, not wanting to ever let go. Boom! Eric's done. Now I got 2 more to do for the brothers. Yay! But I'm going to bed. Bye. No. I'm going to end this one off right. If you like this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more. And thank you all so much. I was too tired and the others to say that, but thank you. And if you hit that like button, you'll have a fabulous day. Goodbye.